Welcome back everyone to my Let's Play of Final Fantasy V, the 4-job Fiesta for T&V Small Critter Rescue. Last episode we ended outside of Kuzar Castle here. I'm going to make a quick trip in. I made a save here because there's a really tough enemy in here that we can't deal with. Basically, this enemy is basically impossible to deal with unless you have a Beastmaster. Because a Beastmaster can control this enemy, and then the Beastmaster can, and when they control the enemy, then the enemy can use different skills, and one of the skills is able to defeat it. So, these are the 12 legendary sealed weapons, so they do exist. These are the ones used in the battle 1,000 years ago? They all turned to stone. Well, they're so old. Little typo there. And we can just look at all of them. We can't get any of these yet. Later on in the game, we'll be able to unseal them and basically turn them back to normal. But I'll just point out all the different weapons. We have the Fire Brute for the Beastmaster, Sage's Staff for White Mage, for like your Black Mage and your Summoners. We got the Wizard Rod, Apollo's Hook for the Bard. Got the Gaia Bell up here. That's going to be for the Geomancers. So I'm finding any use for that. The Excalibur, a good knight sword, and Assassin's Dagger. A lot of classes can use daggers, so that's a good one usually to get. Sasuke's Katana, that's for ninjas. And Holy Lance is for Dragoons, Lancer class. Rune Axe here is for Berserkers. We got the Masmune here for Samurais. And the Yuichi bow there, the first one, is for the Hunters. So, they're actually not the best weapons in the game. There's actually some weapons that are a little bit better than them, but they're like rare steals. So we won't be able to get anything better than that because we don't have a thief in our party. So, well, there's a thief dagger that you can get that can randomly steal things. So here's the Shield Dragon. Basically, once you get them down to half their health, they'll run away. And we're not even going to be able to get them to half their health because they are really, really tough. We don't have anything to really hurt them. They have auto reflect on them, so you can't just like throw like a Phoenix down or a life potion on them to instantly defeat them, like you know, with a lot of undeads. Like I said, the Beastmaster, though, they can control them, and once they're controlled, one of the skills they have is this Blaze attack, which takes off 1/4 of the max hit points. So you just use that, blaze them 4 times, and then they just defeat themselves. And since they're under control, they're not going to run away, and the blaze technique doesn't remove the control from them. Control is like a status effect, like sleep. Certain things don't remove the sleep from them. So these guys are pretty tough too, the Kuzars. They give some good experience, as you notice. The problem with them is they mainly use that one blue magic spell that those Karnaks used. Where they deal damage equal to how much damage they've taken in battle. And with 5,000 hit points, they're going to deal a lot of damage to you. But with the terrain ability there, we can hit them with the Tornado, and then that puts them in single-digit hit points, and then we can hit them just once and finish them off. So we head to the south here, we go into this little forest here. Normally forests like this look like Chocobo Forest, but this one's going to be a Moogle Forest. And this Moogle falls in a hole here. A Moogle here? What a surprise. Yeah, you have to talk with this Moogle to basically advance the plot. You can walk through this forest here, not miss the Moogle, and then just go out through the forest. But you need to find this Moogle and help him to get him to uncover the Moogle village, which is what we need to uncover to advance the plot. See, you can just like skip this hole here and be like, see a Moogle, bye, you know. Poor guy, he fell in a hole. But then you're going to be stuck out here in the desert. There's a forest beyond the desert too. You won't be able to get to the Moogle village. You need to rescue this Moogle to have him uncover the village. So, we're stuck helping this Moogle. We're going to jump down this hole here. And this water is basically just a current. And it just sweeps you along. So you go to different places. Sadly, the terrain ain't too good down here. One of the good ones you can get is Stalactite. That hurts pretty bad. The other ones, though, the Whirlpool doesn't seem to do anything. I think it's an instant death spell. Will-O-Wisp does varying damage and can confuse an enemy. But Yeah, terrain ain't all that great here. Most of the enemies here are weak to lightning, so we can have Galuf if you wanted to use the Lit 2 sword on his spell on his sword and deal decent damage that way. But he also has the Sleep Blade, so that can put him to sleep. And we don't really want to hit these guys if we have them charmed by either the Tempting Tango dance that TNV uses, or if the Will-O-Wisp terrain that Lenna and Faris uses confuse them. Then they can just start hurting themselves. They use that stomach gas on themselves, and that's the best thing they can do. Because as long as they don't hit themselves with a physical attack, they won't come out of that charmed status. Another new enemy here, weak to lightning as well. Yeah, so most of the enemies here. There's one enemy that's going to be weak to, well, two enemies are going to be weak to fire, and the other two enemies, these Aquaphos and the moogle eaters. They are the ones that are weak to. They're the ones that are weak to lightning. I said, don't just keep your attacks away from the one that's charmed. They always let you know which one is charmed by, you know, turn around. So, yeah, so it's doing nice here, healing themselves up. So, helps take some pressure off of Lenna to keep everyone healed. Lenna's still using that healing staff, so that's a really powerful staff. It's really good when you get a staff user. Too bad I don't have a rod user. A rod user would be really nice, because then you can break rods and deal a lot of damage. Because when you break a rod, it casts a level 3 elemental spell. And in the early game, and even basically in the middle game here, broken rods deal a bunch of damage. But we'll never have someone who can use a rod, so that's why I'm just selling all those rods that I picked up throughout the game so far. Yes, that means that usually, like I said, most classes have someone who can cast black magic. Most parties, and so the wizard rod tends to be a really good holy weapon, one of those sacred weapons to pick up first, because it boosts basically every single element. The only one that doesn't is air. But there's very few air spells. They're mainly blue magic spells. And then once summoned, they're going to be later an air summon, but the main ones, the fire, lightning, ice, and poison. So if we would have went to the left, we would have missed that one treasure chest. We would have eventually ended up down this way anyway. You can check out my last Fiesta. We would end up in that doorway to the south. We want to come over here and grab a Phoenix down, because that is going to be how we're going to defeat this boss coming up. I mentioned about undead monsters when we were fighting that shield dragon in Kupo Castle. Well, we got an undead boss here coming up, and the game is nice and gives you a Phoenix down. We can just use that to take that boss out. One hit. So there's another thing. We saw them. We could have saw them. We saw them. I saw them earlier, but I didn't keep them in there because they kept appearing in this formation, and they kept being killed really, really quick. Terrain just seemed to always want to target them and wipe them out. So they were on the screen for like just a few seconds. Now we actually get to see the blood slime in action. Weak to fire. There's another enemy down here. Once we get past, once we get down to this lower section of the dungeon, that's where we reach the final monster in this dungeon. So I'm gonna farm in a little bit. I'm gonna fight a few battles before I get to it. But it's a dragon monster, and it is also weak to fire. I think it just keeps vampiring itself, which means it's taking hit points away from itself, but then it's just restoring the hit points that it takes off itself to itself because it's healing itself. So, and there goes the last moogle eater. Quite a few moogle eaters down here. Better find that moogle quick. Unless one of the moogle eaters is going to get him. So like I say, we just want to find that last enemy here. It's a dragon. The look closer dragon. Weak to fire. Has a lot of hit points, 2,300. So it's a good thing to cast the Fire 2 spell on your character for using the magic sword. But I get lucky here, I don't even have to use that because I get really lucky with the stalactites. coming down, and that basically took him down to almost critical hit points. And Galuf finishes it off. And we've got all the monsters here in this area. Other than the boss, which is straight ahead. Moogle! No, the Moogle's not the boss, but that skeleton next to it is. And it's a Tyrannosaurus. So, yep. But, undead monster, you can just throw a Phoenix down on it. And if it hits, I said it's not 100% guaranteed to hit, but I think it's probably more than 50%, it seems like. So, yeah, just throw a Phoenix down on it, boom, easy victory. 9 ability points. Candy learned the job. Float, that basically can charm an enemy. And we've just saved this Moogle, but he's still scared of us. Well, Lenna's gonna work her charm. She has a way with animals. You don't need to be afraid. It's alright, go over here. Kupo. Yeah, Kupo's their like way they talk. And you'll see a lot them more in Final Fantasy VI. You get a party member who's actually a Moogle. He actually became a kind of the like mascots of Final Fantasy. You have like the Chocobos, the Moogles, and then like Tonberries. Those are the ones that are 3 mascots that they use for the when they did the Final Fantasy relay race charity. So the Moogle's showing us here. He's like, don't step in the desert. Because as long as you stay out of the desert, you won't get in any random encounters here. You can try to take a shortcut through the desert, but there's 2 enemies that you can run into in the desert. One of them is really, really tough. I will show them off, though, so you will see them a little bit. But yeah, keep in mind where the Moogle left there. And we're just going to follow the Moogle's path. We're going to stick out of the desert, and then once we reach to that forest where the Moogle went into, I'll make a quick save, and then I'll show off those 2 enemies throughout the bestiary. Because inside, once you get to the Moogle village, we're going to have quite a long cutscene. I don't want the episode to go super, super long. At least at the battle's going to go super long, but at least I can fast forward the battle. So, yeah, we're going to make a save here. Then we're going to go in there and farm those enemies. So we come in here. And we can get these cactus enemies, and then we can get the sandcrawl enemies. Sandcrawl can appear by itself or with the cactuses. Sadly, the sandcrawl is considered heavy, so the quicksand, which can happen in the desert, will not affect the sandcrawl. That's usually an instant death spell. But you'll see sometimes some of our characters will cast quicksand and they just block away, so. Now, cactuses you can't run from, so you have to defeat them first if you want to run away from the sand crawler. But we're gonna take him out. Yeah, when his stats come on the thing, you'll notice that he has a ton of hit points. But we have some ways to deal with him, so yeah, that's the thing about this game. Like, some classes, they can deal with enemies really, really easily. Other classes have trouble. Like that Beastmaster can deal with those shield dragons that pretty much no other class can. Beastmaster is also good against those prototype enemies in World 1 on the island to the southwest of Crescent Island. The Beastmaster can control that enemy and then have that enemy self-destruct itself. So, yeah, the Beastmaster is pretty good for controlling some enemies and making them fight themselves. So, this guy, what he does is he casts this, Maelstrom on you, and it basically brings the character, whoever it hits, down to single-digit hit points. And it can hit every single person in the party. So the main thing is I'm going to have somebody try to keep us healed whenever we get hit with that Maelstrom. We're going to try to have TNV charm the Sandcrawler with the Tempting Tango dance. If we charm it, one thing we want to do is we just want to let it beat itself up, because one of the attacks it can do to itself is the electric shock. As long as it electric shocks itself, it's not going to shock itself out of the charm that the Tempting Tango does. So, you can just let it beat itself up and then until it hits itself, and then once it hits itself, then you can just resume. Also, if you Tempting Tango it, you can feel free to use your terrain abilities, because terrain will not wake it up or remove the charm status from the Sandcrawler. It also will not remove the sleep status, so sometimes I have Galuf there attacking in the hopes that it will he'll put it to sleep, and he did put it to sleep there. It's very rare that it does happen, but when he does, you can almost just focus on the terrain to finish it off. So, but that'll finish off this episode, so come back in the next one where we go find that Moogle and see what he's up to. Take care, have a good one, see you then, bye!